Strap in, everybody. It is another monthly wrap-up. This is going to be my monthly wrap-up for May. As usual, I have a big old giant stack. You want to see? This is my stack. It's not going to stay upright. Ah! I honestly do not think I can pick these up to show you, so let's see. It's heavy. This is my stack. I have read a lot of physical books this month, as you can see, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about each of them, but we're going to try to go through this somewhat quickly, especially since I did vlog quite a few of these this month because I was vlogging for Escape the Readathon. I read 30 books this month, and I DNF'd 2 books, so I'll go through my DNFs first. I DNF'd The Entanglement of Rival Wizards. I just wasn't finding this to be fun enough for me to continue, sadly, because I really do like the book. I think it's a super cute cover, but it just wasn't working for me. The main character was really, really bothering me. I really wish we were following the other one. But yeah, this is a human and a half elf, I think, or elf, who have to work together in a lab because they've decided to make them share the grant money and work together since their projects are similar. And it's a rivals to lovers situation. This guy is much more interesting than this guy, and this guy is the guy we're following. And I decided that it wasn't for me, so I decided to DNF, but I'm sure someone will love this one. So, especially, you know, at the library, I don't think they get as many queer books as, you know, all James Madison and all that stuff. So that'll be good to give to my library or to put in a little free library. And I also sadly DNF'd The Ending Right Itself. Both these books actually were ones I bought. This is a book of the month copy, but ones that I purchased myself. So that is very sad. I read 230 something pages of this. I think I had 100 pages left. I just could not care less. It was bad. It's not a bad book. It was entertaining enough. I think I ended up giving, if I were to finish, it would have been a 2, maybe a low 3. I don't think, mysteries are just not very much for me. And I was intrigued. I wouldn't have picked this up if it wasn't for the fact that it was attached to Victoria Schwab, and the hype got me, and I was curious. This is written by Victoria Schwab and something Clark, Kat Clark, and it just didn't work for me. There wasn't anything special about it. It was pretty bland. And from what I've heard, spoiler-wise, it wouldn't have been worth it for me to finish. So I decided just to unhaul it and just be done with it. Anyways, those are my 2 DNFs. Only 2 DNFs this month. So that's not too bad. I read 30 books, 9,218 pages. My average rating was a 3.8. Not too shabby. Yeah, so in my opinion, I had a pretty good reading month. I didn't have anything below a 2-star, and I didn't have anything below a 2.5-star. So I thought everything was worth reading if you're interested in picking them up. I just, maybe not my cup of tea, or just didn't resonate with me. The writing style or something about it didn't resonate with me. So the first book I have in the 2-star category was a 2.5, and that was The Last Time We Drowned by Sarah Toker Schaefer. This is from the author of Tradwife, which I loved, and I did vlog. I will be vlogging about, a vlog will be coming out, or has come out, about this, where I discuss my feelings on it, so I won't say too much here, but this is about a girl who's a writer. No, let me see if I can remember now. This is about a woman who goes on a boat. Oh, a bookstagrammer goes on a boat with a bunch of other influencer people. It's like a yacht, but it doesn't move. It's like on stilts or something. It's like a houseboat. And she's wondering, why am I the one who has gotten this job? She was hard up for money. She wants to write a book, but she's on Bookstagram, and she had some drama with her ex-roommate who ended up dying. And so she's kind of reeling from all of that. So she takes this job aboard this boat to be an influencer for this yacht / also do her Bookstagram stuff. And it's her getting to know the people on the boat, and then the drama and bodies start dropping. And I thought this one was fine. It wasn't really for me. It didn't really do much for me. I am not the biggest thriller fan, and this is definitely more thriller than any kind of horror. It was giving more thriller mystery than slasher horror, which I kind of knew going in. So I just think this one really wasn't very much for me, and I did finish it though, and the culmination of everything that happened in the end didn't really do it for me either. I wanted it to be more eat the rich, and I didn't get enough of that. I much preferred Guillotine by Delilah S. Dawson, where you're taking someone from an outside situation and putting them in with like these uber rich. But yeah, that was my 2.5. And then I have one that I gave a 2.75. Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. I think that a lot of people love this one, and I had it on my shelves for a while, so I decided to pick it up and give it a shot this month. And I decided it wasn't really for me. I think I might be unhauling a lot of these mysteries in the future. There's a certain kind of humor that works for me. They might work if they're cute. Sometimes a cozy mystery works for me if I get invested in the characters and I like the characters or the setting. This is a bunch of family members who are rich and privileged, but family has some sort of background in the criminal organized crime arena, and their brother, who was arrested and sent to jail for a while, is coming back for a little family reunion on the mountains, and it's snowy. There's a dead body or two show up, and it's a mystery of trying to figure out who is responsible for this and what's going on. And I thought if this was my kind of book, I think it was well crafted, but I just didn't really find anything all that interesting in it, to be honest. So those, I think, were my only two that were below 3 stars. So I had a very good reading month. I gave 8 books a 3-star flat. And so the first one I have for that is Hunger and Thirst, which was a NetGalley arc that I read. One is by Claire Fuller, and that is a sort of haunted house story. We have a girl who has just exited the foster system, and she needs somewhere to live. So she lives in this squat house where nobody just happens to live, but the people that used to live there left everything behind, everything, even pots, pans, picture frames, etc. She was in with this guy that is her friend's boyfriend, and the house is weird, it's creepy. They turned on the power and the record player started to play. What else happened in this one? I feel like I need to refresh my memory. Oh, and then later, tragic things happen, and it becomes a question of whether our main character is sane or did something paranormal happen. I gave this one 3 stars. I am already forgetting the plot of this one, so I don't think it's going to be one that will be memorable for me. I did have a bit of a struggle to get through it at times. So yeah, it wasn't for me. It's got something stuff to say about female friendship and loneliness and mental illness and desperation, etc. But yeah, I just gave it 3 stars. I thought it was fine. Next, I have Just by Looking at Him by Ryan O'Connell. This is a story of a gay man who has cerebral palsy, and it is about his struggles with that and his struggles to figure out his relationship with his current partner. He starts looking outside the relationship. He has affairs. It's just him trying to figure out what's good for him and what's good for his relationship and if it's the right thing for him, and also him dealing with the fact that he does have cerebral palsy and some of his struggles with that. But it's mostly just about him trying to figure out his life and lots of sexual escapades. And I thought it was fine. I enjoyed my time with it, but just 3 stars for me. Oh, I read There Is No Anti-Memetics Division. This was for Allie's Patreon book club. This one was fun and weird, but the weirdness got to me towards the end, and I feel like the first half of this could have been 5 stars for me, maybe a high 4, but the last like quarter to 2/3 to 1/3 of this was like 2 stars. And so for me, I'm just going to round it off to a 3, but know that it had some really awesome moments in it. This is a sci-fi about this anti-memetics division, and they study lots of different things that are out of the ordinary, sort of like a X-Files-y sort of situation, although they would hate to be compared to that. And, you know, things that are ideas, but they're real, things that you can't see unless you take these drugs so that you can see them. But then once you see them and they see you, then they know that you're there, and then the whole world could end. Lots of interesting things that maybe are invisible, but also things that are visible, but as soon as you see them, your mind erases them. Horrific things that probably no one should see, but are actually there. And I thought that idea was interesting, terrifying. It reminded me of a, that I think I mentioned this in my vlog. It reminded me of the Are You Afraid of the Dark episode with the spectacles, where you could see the shadow people if you put the spectacles on, and if they noticed that you could see them, then you were in trouble. The ending I got tired of, but overall I did think that this was a good one. And if you have more resilience than me for the last little bit of this, then I bet you'll like this even more than I did. But I did love some of the ideas in here, and definitely some nightmare fuel for sure. To return that one to the library. I also gave 3 stars to Japanese Gothic. This is Kylie Baker's new one, and she wrote this one, and she also wrote Bat Eater and Other Names for Corazang, which I gave, I think, a 3.5, 4 star. I did like that one. I didn't love it as much as some other people did, but I did like that one. I feel like I might like it even more upon a reread, but this one is more gothic-y slow tale. We have 2 timelines. We have a boy named Lee and a girl named Sen. Lee is in the present, more current timeline. He is fleeing school because he believes he murdered his roommate, and he is now living in Japan with his father in this house where the samurai girl Lee used to live. And there's some sort of portal situation where the timelines cross paths and interact with each other. There's some very gruesome stuff in here, especially with Lee's timeline of things that happened to her as a child as her father was trying to raise her to be the samurai, even though samurais really were more defunct and killed at this point. So just be aware of that. I didn't love this one. I didn't know that the timelines were going to interact as much as they do. I don't want to say more than that, only because I don't want to spoil anything, but there's just something about it that didn't work for me completely. But overall, I gave this 3 stars. There are definitely things in here that were 4, 5-star moments for me, but overall, my enjoyment was just good. Let's see what else. I read To You at the Altar by Rebecca Thorne. This is the 3rd in the Tomes and Teas series. The first one being You Can't Spell Treason Without Tea. The second one being Pirate's Life for Tea. This is a sapphic, cozy romance about these 2 women. One is the Mage of Mages, like the most powerful mage in the land, and one used to be a Queen's Guard, and they flee that situation to open up a little tea shop in this seaside town that's dealing with being attacked by dragons. Loved the first one. I thought it was super fun and cute. Second one I ended up giving 2 stars. This one I ended up with a 3. The second one, they're traveling outside of their little cozy village, and the third one, they are back in the village, so I liked that a bit more because I do like the small town vibes. Overall, I still think that I am probably done with the series. There's one more, so at some point I may pick it up from the library, but at this point I'm going to be unhauling all but the first one. The third one I did get from the library, that's why I don't have it here. But I do have the second one. I think I'm gonna get that out of here. Now that I have read the third one and decided it's not really too much for me. I read Girl's Girl by Sonia Feldman. That is a sapphic coming of age tale, and that one was an arc from NetGalley. I gave that one 3 stars as well. It's very modern. They're taking pictures for Instagram and talking about The Sims a lot, things like that. And some of that more modern-y stuff coming in and messing with their, I don't know, just being in there, it threw me off, took me out of the story a little bit. There's a little bit too much information, too much of them talking about their fun with The Sims and their characters. And I mean, I like The Sims. I was a Sims player. I would still be if they weren't up to their nonsense. But yeah, I still just wasn't thrilled with this one. I didn't feel, I don't know, it's humorous. There's some good moments in it. There's some really good girlhood moments in it. I don't think it's a bad book at all. It's just Sunburn is up here for me, and this is like down here for me. This is not a sapphic story, which isn't a bad thing, but it's not a sapphic story where there's a lot of struggle. It is a sapphic story where there's struggle between friendships and the changing friendships between love and just having a friend and your best friend, and then also having a trio of friends and that dynamic. And I think there's some good stuff about that in here. But just for me, it was just a 3. Next, we have All Hail Chaos, Time of Iron number 2. The first one was Long Live Evil, and I really enjoyed that one. It was 4 stars for me. I thought it was funny and fun, and I really loved one of the characters in it, and like the Viper, that was his name, and I really loved him. He was a lot of fun. This is a story about a woman who's on her deathbed, and she is given this chance to go through the portal into her favorite book series and find this magical flower and go back to her own world, and she'll be healed and she will live. And if she doesn't come back, her body will die and she will, you know, have to stay in this world forever, and it's her adventures. And she ends up waking up in the body of the villainess who's about to be killed, and she has to figure out how to not get killed and to get this flower so that she can survive. The second one, All Hell Chaos, I thought was still a fun time. I just don't think I needed it. I just really liked the first one. I almost wish it just ended there. I still like all the stuff with the Viper and this dude that he's sort of getting closer to. I like that side character plot. The main plot I enjoyed, but like I said, I don't think I needed a sequel to it. I think there's going to be at least one more. I don't know if I'll pick it up. Maybe eventually if I get curious. And last for the flat threes, I read The Animal Room by Lauren Acampora, I believe, and that one is also coming out in June. This is a bunch of interconnected short stories of this town in Connecticut, I think, and all their relationships with animals. I thought some of these stories were really, really great, and then I thought other ones were pretty boring, and as a whole, I ended up rounding them to about a 3-star. There are some that are about hunting. There are some that are about animal hoarding. There's some that are about animal experimentation in the lab. There's some that's just about family dogs or about deer and things like that. I thought it was interesting, and you kind of see how they all interconnect, but enjoyment-wise, I just gave it a 3. My 3.25s, I gave Wave by Samantha Kolesnik a 3.25. This is about a woman who sees this man at a grocery store and is just very sexually attracted to him. But unfortunately, he has a girlfriend, a pregnant girlfriend, and she is married. I think she's married. I think they're married. And she is not attracted to her husband anymore. She doesn't really care about sex with him anymore. She doesn't want to participate in it. And of course, he wants that part of their relationship still. So she tells him that when they do it, she pictures this other man from the grocery store, and then they slowly spiral down the rabbit hole of drastic backdoor plastic surgeries. And also there's this lesbian gang that may hunt men, but that's not a big part of this, but that is in here. And then she sort of gets also pushed into this underground sex work. It's weird. There's a little bit too much going on for me to give it a higher rating, but I did have fun with it, so I gave it a 3.25. I also read A Touch of Jen by Beth Morgan. I gave this a 3.25. I enjoyed my time with this one, but I wanted more of what was happening towards the end to be more of the story. The first, I would say 2/3, like the beginning, you get this, okay, so there's this couple, it's a toxic relationship situation, and they are obsessed with the boyfriend's, Remy's former coworker named Jen, and Remy sort of still has feelings for her, even though I don't think they were ever together. They were just coworkers, and Alicia, his current girlfriend, will pretend to be her and use her voice as her, and they do some role playing. They also stalk her Instagram and things like that. So I thought that was really interesting. And then they get themselves invited on a surfing trip with Jen and Jen's current love interest, and they go off with these people, and Alicia just is such a pick-me. She really wants to fit in, and Remy is getting kind of back in with Jen and talking to her a lot. And I found the first 2/3 of this to sort of be more Sally Rooney, normal people-esque, where you're just following these awful, toxic, badly behaving people. But then there's like a hint of like horror thriller aspect to it, and then in the end it kind of goes off the rails and there's a huge horror aspect to it. So I did really I liked the ending. I thought it was fun, but to get to that point, it was fine. So I gave it a 3.25. All right, so my 3.5s, I think I only have three 3.5s. Let's double check. 1, 2, 3. So I have Across the Green Grass Fields by Shannon McGuire. This is in the Wayward Children series. I think this is the 5th book, I think 5th or 6th. And this one we follow Reagan, and Reagan loves horses. She ends up finding a doorway to a world with all these horse creatures in it. There are centaurs and seahorses, sort of like mer creatures. There's unicorns, lots of equine creatures, and she is a human, so she is supposed to be the one to go to the queen and do something. I don't know. It was short. I read it for one of the prompts for Escape the Readathon, and I thought it was an okay time. I gave it a 3.5. It was fun. I liked it. It's short, it's sweet. It reads like very YA middle grade. I prefer the ones where they're back in the school for the most part and having interactions with the other characters rather than these one-offs where you're just learning about the doorways that they're going into. If you didn't know, this is a Portal fantasy series. In the first one, you are at the school where they take in all these children that have returned from their doorways and their doorway worlds, and they're not happy about it. They basically were in their perfect little world, and now they're back home, and nobody knows how to deal with them because they can't talk about where they were because then people will think they're crazy, and they're not happy because they were happier where they were. So that's the series. And then each one follows either a child going into their world or they're experiencing currently at the school, or sometimes there are side quests they have to go on. I have fun with all of them. I give them all between a 3 and 5 stars, so I'll continue to read them. I don't know if I'll buy any more. I do have a few more, I think. 3. So yeah, I have 3 more that I currently own, and then I probably won't buy any more for a little bit, but we'll see. I have Gone to See the Riverman by Christopher Triana. I liked this one. It was gory. This is on the verge of extreme / splatterpunk. I'm not sure which, and I don't think it's that crazy, but there are certain scenes in here that are pretty gross. This is about a woman who's obsessed with a serial killer. They write letters back and forth, and he gives her a quest to go on to retrieve a key and give it to the Riverman. And he wants her to go to this cabin where he also killed some of his victims. So sounds like a good idea, right? Sure. And also she brings along her mentally disabled. She has like a traumatic brain injury, her sibling, her adult sibling. And she also uses a cane, her sibling does. So yeah, bright idea. And she goes to the cabin and gross things happen, and she meets the Riverman, and I liked the paranormal aspect to this. I thought that was fun, and the ending kind of hit you over the head, which I also liked. So part of me wants to give this a 4 now. So maybe my initial rating was a 3.5. So I did like this one quite a bit. Gross, check your trigger warnings always, if that's something you need to do. Little Eve by Catriona Ward also gave a 3.5. This is a horror / thriller. It's culty. There's a group of people who live on this island. It's mostly women and this one cult leader guy. They worship a snake god, and the man controls everybody, and it's, the adults questioning whether or not this is a place they want to stay, and then him controlling them. And then at the beginning of the book, they're all dead other than one of them, and you're slowly figuring out the mystery of how this happened and what's going on, etc. I liked it. I thought it was fun. I liked the, fun for a horror about cults and control, but I thought it was good. I liked the characters' development in here. I liked the atmosphere. I thought the atmosphere was really well done. It was well crafted. Catriona Ward is someone who knows how to craft a story for sure, and does really well with atmosphere and twists and things. There maybe was 1 or 2 too many twists in here for me, but overall, I still had a fun time with this one. Let's move on to, I need to get a drink. Let me go grab a drink. And then I have 6 4 stars to talk to you about. Ugh, I have this Celsius. It's Retro Vibe Sherbet Slush. I don't know if I'm gonna like this or not, but I need something to drink. See? This one. Let's see. think it might be too sweet for me. Definitely tastes like a sherbet slush. It says intermission. It tastes like something. I think it tastes like Nerds. Not my favorite, but I can drink it. That's fine. Anyways, all right, so my flat fours. 4 stars I gave Paul Tremblay's Another, which is his middle grade novel about a boy who doesn't really have that many friends. He's been bullied at school. His parents have this antique old phone that randomly starts ringing even though it's not hooked up. And the person on the phone says, hey, my kid wants to come hang out with your kid. And even though they don't know who this kid is, they're like, yeah, sure, bring him on over. And he arrives in a burlap sack and slowly rises out of it. And it's like his face is not real. It sort of seems to be made of clay, but the parents seem to think that there's nothing wrong with any of that and say, yeah, come on in. You can stay with us for April break. And so it just goes from there. This is very creepy for a middle grade, and I really liked it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I did go into it with the expectation that it was middle grade, but as far as Paul Tremblay goes, I love Paul Tremblay, and he is also his teacher, and this was written after the pandemic, and he said it was sort of his ode to that time and the kids' resilience and struggles they went through during that time. There's a lot about anxiety and loss of identity and loss of self in here. So I really enjoyed this one. I think I would love for my children to read it. Not that they will. I read The Butcher of the Forest. I also gave this 4 stars. I guess my only qualm with this one is I wish there was more of it. It gets right down to the story, which is fine. It's very atmospheric and descriptive, and I liked this one. We have an older protagonist in her 40s, and she is going off to rescue a couple of these kids from the forest. This forest no one returns from usually, but she did. She was able to get one of the children out, and so the tyrant of this village tells her that she needs to go in there or they're going to kill her family, and so she has to go in and retrieve the kids. It reminds me a little bit of The Labyrinth, a person having to go inside this magical realm and solve puzzles and escape tricks and traps from the Fey-like creatures. There's a scene with a unicorn in here that is brutal, and I really liked that one. And it's a short, fun time. We have At Dark I Become Loathsome by Eric LaRocca. This one is brutal and dark and sad. And what was I going to say? Oh, it's bleak. This is a bleak book. We are following Ashley. He's had several horrible losses in his life that have left him reeling. He has turned to body modification to outwardly show his inward hurt and inward turmoil. He has developed a ritual to take on clients that are also struggling mentally, to bury them alive and hopefully be reborn into a better version of themselves. And there are also some little side stories in here as well. Lots of depraved, transgressive acts and discussions in here, but I liked it and I gave it 4 stars. I liked Eric LaRocca's writing, and I don't think this is one I'll forget anytime soon. I didn't like it as much as Wretch, but I still think this one is worth a read if this dark, gruesome, bleak type of thing could be for you. It reminded me of Exquisite Corpse by Poppy Z. Bright a little bit. That one's very dark as well. And I wonder if he used, like, there's one called Are You Loathsome Tonight? And I wonder if he was thinking of that a little bit when he titled this. I read Seduction Theory by Emily Adrian. This is a book club pick a while ago, a book of the month club book a while ago. It's fairly short. This is a messy book about a professor couple, and one of them goes off to out of state, and it turns out that his secretary is also going out of state in the same area. They end up having a little bit of an affair, and then his wife back home is marathon training with a mentee, and they kind of start having a little bit of a sapphic relationship there. And this mentee ends up writing her thesis or finishing of master's project, her final paper is the story of what happened between everyone in this situation. So it's very, very messy, and I thought it was, so I gave it 4 stars. And then last in my 4 stars is The Burning God. Overall, I give this series probably 4.5 stars. There are things I really, really love about it, but I do kind of get tired with some of the war scenes and things. So you can look more into my vlogs if you want to see what I really, really thought of this one. But this is the final in a series. The ending was brutal. Everything is brutal about these books. There really are no happy moments where you could take a breath. So I'm happy it's over, but I'm glad I read it. If you didn't know, this is from the Poppy War series. This is the final book in the Poppy War series by R.F. Kuang. All right, we're almost done. I read Exiles by Mason Coyle, and this is a sci-fi book about a group of people that are going to help colonize Mars. There's already some robots and AI on Mars that have prepared the space station and built things, and the group of astronauts, as they're trying to descend on Mars, they completely lose any technology that is supposed to help them land in the right place. And of course they can't breathe the Mars air. They can only breathe inside the space station. So first problem is they don't know where they landed or how far from the space station they are. So they'll be able to breathe. They only have a certain amount of oxygen in their suits. So that's the first problem they encounter. And then they get to the space station and the password to get in is wrong. So something or someone or whatever is trying to sabotage this mission, and the mission is paramount. They're not going back. There's nothing they can do. They are stuck on Mars and they have to just do their best and deal with the situation. They are, we don't know if it's the robots and tech that is doing this or if there's something else going on. So I thought this one was good. It's very isolated feeling, a little bit claustrophobic, because you can't leave the place because then you'll die if you're not in a spacesuit. And even if you have a spacesuit, you only have a certain amount of time of oxygen. So yeah, I thought that one was also in a vlog. All these are in vlogs, I think, this time. Oh, Lucky Day. I gave Lucky Day a 4.5. I really liked this one. I don't know if a lot of people like this one, but I really like this. This is by Chuck Tingle, and we're following a woman named Vera. She's bisexual. She's in a relationship with a woman. They want to get married. She has just gotten a book published about probability. She's a probability expert professor. She goes out to dinner with her mom, and she's going to break the news to her mom that she's marrying this woman. And of course her woman's like, bisexuality doesn't exist, blah, blah, blah. Like that's what her mom says. And then this low probability event happens where a bunch of people all over the world die because of random acts that happen. For example, one gets attacked by a chimpanzee, planes falling out of the sky, and the wreckage hitting people. There's some other really weird ones. I think her mom gets crushed by a car. So this horrible thing happened. There's lots of people that are grieving all over the world, and some sort of government agency contacts her and wants her to try to figure out what's going on. They have a feeling that it's somehow connected to this casino, so they want her to go and investigate. And it's that story. It's absurdist horror, cosmic-y horror, and I thought it was fun. I enjoyed my time with it. I gave it 4.5. Yeah, I don't have this one on here, so I guess I read 31. I read The Willows by Algernon Blackwood. This was written in the early 1900s or something, 1907. So yes, a classic weird little horror story about 2 men on a boat on the river, and they have to make camp on this isolated island, and then weird things start happening. They start hearing things, and it's a lot about the unknown, possible entities, isolation. I thought this was actually pretty good. I think I'd give it a 4. I think it's hard sometimes to rate classics, but I think there's just a lot to think about here, a lot to imagine. It is kind of boring and dry at times, but also deeply creepy in a way. And so I really liked this one. There's not much to say about it because it is so short, and I don't know if there's much you could say without giving things away, but I did highlight a lot. This copy has illustrations and things, so I thought that was pretty cool. And I read this for a book club coming up, the Classic Scares book club, and this will be on Brianna's channel, and I will link that down below. I'm getting tired now, guys. So I think the rest are 5s or 4.5s. So the rest are 5s. I had 7 5s in the month of May, which is awesome. So I have Grief Eater, which is a short little novella. It's coming out at the beginning of June, and this is a zombie, sapphic zombie from the perspective of the zombie and just woken up as a zombie and having to figure out what they want to do, and maybe part of what they want to do is seek revenge on people that maybe didn't like, they didn't like very much. And I thought this was very sad. It's Grief Eater, right? So she's going around eating the people that gave her grief while she was alive and hurt her while she was alive. She's trying to maintain enough of control and humanity to be able to get to where she needs to go to eat those people. And she actually gets memories and feelings from those people when she eats them. She'll be able to tell, you know, if they ever cared about her or what their feelings were. And it's pretty heartbreaking, actually, and I thought very effective. I love the cover, and I really enjoyed this one. This is an Aussie author, so it takes place in Australia. I gave, let's see, Rights of a Starling, 5 stars. The first one is Shield of Sparrows. I gave that one, I want to say 4.5. That one was like a 4, maybe. That one was a grower, not a shower for me. That's what I said in my review of that one, because I just didn't love it from the beginning. I found the main heroine to be a little annoying, but she just comes into her own more in this one, and we get a new point of view, which I really liked. I think the world building is really excellent in these books. We've got monsters and, you know, magic and political intrigue and adventure and tree houses and, you know, friendly creatures, evil creatures. Why are the creatures attacking people when they used to not? And the love story takes a back seat for me. I do like the love story, but it's not my main draw to this. And I think it's lots of fun. If you read the beginning of the first one, you didn't like it, I do think this is a series that grew for me, that improved for me as I read it. The second half of the first one, and then this one I even liked even better than Shield of Sparrows. And Shield of Sparrows, we're following Odessa, right? I got the pretty copy. Yeah, so we're following Odessa. I don't want to talk about it. I also read Cursed Daughters by I tried to pronounce her name in my vlog, and even when I looked it up, it was difficult for me. But this is awesome. I loved this so much. I love the characters in it. I love the way they spoke in the audiobook with their accents. And we have Nigerian women in here. So they're in Nigeria, but also in England. And there's a lot of really messy family dynamics in here, which I loved. There's a little bit of old magics in here. And we have a woman who, on the day that she was born, her auntie passes away, and she looks a lot like her. So her aunt thinks that she could be the reincarnation, and her daughter sent back to her. And it's just them dealing with their lives. There's supposed to be a curse on the family where no men will stay. And so they're dealing with that as well. Just messy relationships with their mothers, and female generational relationship stuff in here. I had fun with this one. I had a really good time with it. I give it 5 stars. I know I'm not being very succinct in here, but what are you gonna do? I'm tired. I read Ninth Reign. This is one in one of my earlier vlogs from the month. I really loved this. This is a fantasy series. There is a class of people, I forget what they call them, but they're kind of a class that have a little bit of magic, Eborans, I think they're called Eborans, and they have this tree that helps to keep them young. They can live a really long time / forever. And during one of these wars, the 8th reign, the tree ends up dying. And because of this, they have no more of the sap or whatever to drink. So they're becoming sick. And they discover that they can drink blood. So they kind of become vampiric and start drinking some human blood. And then that actually ends up making them sick as well. And they start dying too. So it's like limited amount of, you know, help for them. But now one of the Iboran princes decides, you know, everything's awful here. I want to leave our gated area and go off with the humans and try to make a life for myself that is more than just sitting here waiting to die. So he does that, and it's his adventure with the people he meets along the way. There's a woman who was captured when she was very young because she has magic, and she's not supposed to have magic in this world. If you're found to be a witch, you are sent to these awful prisons and forced to work and live. And then maybe if you're lucky and you have enough control, they'll send you off to find more children that can do these things and also go be imprisoned. So I thought this was really, really good. I loved the magic in it. I love the ending of this. I'm looking forward to reading the next one. I have it out from the library. That one is called The Bitter Twins. This is by Jen Williams. Just really, really fun, magical story. There's a little bit of a love story in here, but it's not the main point of it at all. And I really enjoyed my time with this one, and I'm looking forward to continuing on with the series. I read The Dumb House by Burnside. I forget what his first name is. John Burnside. This is about a man who's a sociopath, and he becomes obsessed with the idea of finding where the nexus of the soul comes from within the human brain or body. And he has here's the story as a child from his mother about this prince who put these children in a setting where no caregivers ever spoke to them. They had no access to speech, and the prince wanted to know what would happen if he did that. So our main character in this becomes obsessed with that idea. So he sets out to redo this experiment, and he ends up experimenting on his own children and killing them. That is in the first couple lines of the book. It's very dark. It's very dry. It comes from this man's perspective, this sociopathic, detached perspective, and I just loved it. It's really messed up. It's definitely dry at times, but I loved it. I just thought it was great. I highlighted a bunch of it. It's very messed up, but because his writing and his voice is so detached and cold, it like makes it creepier, but also like set back from the actual happenings. And so I didn't have a lot of like feelings about it other than like, oh. So the first line in it is, and this is, "No one can say it was my choice to kill the twins any more than it was my decision to bring them into the world." And so he doesn't really think that there's anything wrong with what he's doing to the twins, to the women that he just ends up using. So, yep, this one I gave 5 stars. It's probably my favorite read from the whole month because I'm just a bit weird. Anyway, on that note, my last book of the month that I have to review for you is Lover Revealed, and this is the 4th book in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, I think. And this is a series, paranormal romance series from the early 2000s, and it follows different couples in this brotherhood. The brotherhood are the protectors of this species, these big old vampire dudes that are protectors of the species. Vampires in this are a different species. They are born, not made. But as they come of age, they go through a transition into becoming full vampires, and they can't go out in the daylight. They can only drink blood from people of their kind. They can drink human blood, but it doesn't give them as much strength and sustenance as they need. They're weakened if they do that. So mostly they need to feed off of their mates. That's what ends up happening. And in this one, we have Butch, who's a human, and Marissa, I think is her name. Yes, Marissa, and she's a vampire. She is from the higher echelon of society in the vampire world. Butch is a former cop / detective, and he works with the vampires a lot. He's sort of befriended them. He's all embroiled in their worlds now. And him and Marissa, in some of the previous books, kindled a little bit of a friendship and a love, but they haven't been able to do anything about that because he's a human, she's a vampire, she's from the rich society of vampires. She's supposed to remain pure and chaste. She was supposed to maybe marry the king of the vampires, but he decided that he ended up mating with someone else, so she was rejected by him, so she's being very much looked down upon. And this is her and Butch's love story, and I gave this one 5 stars as well. These books are so fun. I love them. I can't help it. It's just who I am, okay? My monthly wrap up, I wanted to add this in here, editing Alicia here. I forgot to talk about The Bout of Black Tom. That was also a 5-star for me. I also read that in May by Victor LaValle. I love, love, love that one. It's a retelling of sorts of one of Hellcraft's books, but H.P. Lovecraft, I mean Hellcraft. Anyway, and it definitely has some crazy eldritch horrors in there. We follow a black man, and he is working for a rich guy that is trying to get into all this magic and alchemy type stuff. I forget what his name is, and I don't have the book in front of me. The man that works for the rich guy ends up getting some powers and taking some revenge out. And I really liked that one. I thought that was a good one, and I really enjoyed it, and I gave that 5 stars. That was a lot and a bit of a kerfuffle, and I don't even know. We'll see if I can edit that down to something that's able to be watched with any success. I don't know. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this wrap up. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I did get it done, so that's good. I will be participating in the Tarot Readathon in the month of June, so I'll have vlogs for that. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, comment down below. What did you read in May? What was your favorite books in May? Did you read any of the books I read? Do you like any of the books that I read? Let me know.